Remember when Donald Trump was having a rather chaotic search for his VP and the media were all breathless? Would it be Christie? Was Newt still in the running? Was it really Mike Pence? Was he changing his mind on Mike Pence? Well, nobody really talking about that right now. Remember when it was Governor Pence and there was this rollout that was delayed by a day and they did it on a Saturday and Trump gave this 25 or 30-minute speech in which he mostly talked about himself and didn't say that much about his new running mate. The media were turning thumbs down on that. Well, nobody much talking about that either. And you remember on 60 Minutes on, what was it, Sunday night, when both Trump and Pence sat down with Leslie Stahl and Trump kind of finished many of Pence's sentences and kind of dominated the interview. Well, no one's really talking about that either. And it's not just because the media have a notoriously short attention span. The reason is there are so many stories flashing across our national radar now that each of them has a very short half-life. And obviously all of this unfolds against the tragic and heartbreaking backdrop of the terror attacks, both here and abroad, the police shootings. It really is hard to keep up with them. And so I was sitting around with some journalists just trying to remember what the last 2 weeks have been like. And you don't even have to go back to Orlando, which is roughly a month ago, and the horrible mass shooting at the gay nightclub there. I mean, you just go through the 2 fatal police shootings, one in Baton Rouge and then one in Minnesota, and then the awful ambush of 5 police officers who were killed in Dallas, many others wounded. And then you had the terrorist attack in Nice, and just as journalists were flying off to France to deal with that, you had the coup in Turkey. And then I experienced this firsthand this past Sunday morning when 2 minutes into the MediaBuzz program, we went on the air with a Fox News alert that a bunch of police officers had been killed in Baton Rouge, the same city, of course, where Alton Sterling had been killed in that confrontation with police. And as this happens more and more and more, it's depressing, it's heartbreaking, it's tragic. I think everyone in the country feels wounded by it, but it also, I don't know how else to put this, it all starts to run together. You know, you start to think, well, when did this one happen and what about that one? And I don't want to say it becomes less newsworthy. I mean, we are covering these as the important stories that they are. But the more there are mass shootings, the more there are terror attacks, whether it is in France or in Orlando or in San Bernardino. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It does seem that the media collectively move on from them more quickly because by definition they become more unique. It becomes more of the new normal. And I hate saying that. I don't want this to be the new normal. So now you have this sort of split screen mentality where we have the Republican convention in Cleveland unfolding and a new focus, of course, on law and order and police safety and all of that. And next week will be the Democratic convention. And yet it's almost as if the news of what's happening here in Cleveland is interspersed with the latest shooting, the latest killing, the latest rhetoric, some of it angry and divisive rhetoric about these attacks on police officers who protect our communities, and some as well about police officers who use excessive force, those a small minority, of course, in confrontations with minorities. So it's our job to make sense of it all, but I'm getting whiplash from this, and I think all of you are too, and I hope at some point we get back to some semblance of normality, but for now, that doesn't seem to be in the cards.